Faithful Responders consists of 2 deputies and 2 firefighters with nearly 40 combined years of service as first responders. Scotty, Jonathan, Clint, and Jacob invite you to listen as they discuss various issues that first responders deal with in their daily lives as well as on the job. The crazy schedules, training, mandatory OT, and the extra gigs provide little time for family, let alone going to or committing to a church. Their prayer is that this will be something used to help keep you encouraged and equipped in your faith. So sit on back, but don't fall asleep. Yes, that means you firefighters. And as always, stay safe.
What's up, guys? This is Scotty, and we're here again with Faithful Responders. Tonight I got Jacob, Clint, and myself. We got special guest, Chief David Hill. I've known him for a long time, and I'm really excited to get to have him on the show and talk to him, and we're looking forward to getting in and diving in. We also want to thank Sam Bear Collective and Bellwether Recording, and it's I don't know how they do it and allow us to do this, but man, we can't appreciate and thank them enough for allowing us to use their place and this little studio. It's amazing, and like I said, I can't thank them enough. But we're gonna dive on in and like I said, introduce Chief David Hill. He's a good friend of mine. We've known each other our whole lives. I grew up, and his mom was very, very influential to me. His dad was, I used to tell people his mom and dad were some of the, like, they were super strict, but like at the same time, like as an adult now, they fit in my mind as the most caring and loving people in my childhood. Like, they're in the top 5 people, and it's crazy because they're so good at being like good parents and good like being able to regulate and being able to like be that parent that you think is ideal, and being able to punish but yet show love at the same time. Gosh, I just remember being a little kid, and most of the parents that used to punish me, I hated them. I was like, I couldn't stand them, but man, I used to love, like, so I've known his family a long time. His older brother and I grew up together, and David was a little bit younger than us. So, but
Scotty's old.
Shut up. And so, but yeah, so here's David. So David, or Chief, sorry.
You call me David, please.
He's my chief at Stone Mountain. That's why.
Show some respect.
I get kind of confused sometimes. We're at the station, and I'm like, hey, I say, hey, Dave, and he goes, and I'm like, oh crap, I mean Chief, because it's hard for me to kind of break that, but hey, just tell us a little about yourself.
So, David Hill, Chief of Police and Fire at Stone Mountain. You want me to start from childhood? How does this exactly work?
You can just whatever you want, man.
Yeah, you brought up my parents, and that's probably a good place to start. I was lucky enough to have 2 of the best parents in the world. I know everybody says that, but it's definitely true for me, and I'm beyond blessed with the childhood I had with 2 parents, God-fearing parents, had me in church from when I was in diapers all the way through, and definitely strict, definitely did not spare the rod.
I've been spanked by both of them, by the way.
Listen, my parents had...
I'm sure you deserved it.
I did.
My parents had... You just said rod. My parents had a paddle, and my dad drilled holes in it and then had engraved on it the Holy Rod of God.
We had one that my mom's family had passed down, and everybody that had been spanked by this paddle had signed it.
Oh, that's pretty good. Nice. My mom said, "Mom's helping hand."
Nice.
That's what her paddle said.
Nice.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. We had my parents used belts. They used sticks, rods, switches. I was raised by. So both my parents had me. My mom was 40 when I was born. My dad was 39. So I think that has contributed in my life a lot, for good, actually, a lot, because it wasn't children raising a child. They were full adults. There was a whole generation between me and my cousins. You know, my cousins were 20 years older than me.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like getting raised by grandparents, you know. So when you talk about being strict and the
I'm gonna cut you off real quick.
yeah,
Because I was 39 when we had I was actually 40 when we had our baby. So I appreciate you calling me a grandparent to my youngest child.
well, I'm saying, yeah, most of growing up, most of my friends' parents were 20 years younger than my parents.
yeah.
So it was a very, very different going over to their house, and I'm like, what is this? Compared to, you know, my parents' house. But I think it helped me big time in the long run, and I needed it. I needed to get beat. I was a little hellion.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that was me. I had to get it beat into me, for sure, for me to listen.
Oh, we're gonna get in trouble on this episode. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Shoot, as a parent now, I look back and I appreciate my parents' discipline.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had to have it. I mean, I was hard headed.
Yep.
So
Ditto.
growing up in church, you know, with you and your family, and you know, a bunch of other families, it was kind of like growing up in a small town, which doesn't happen anymore. You can't grow up in a small town hardly anywhere in the U.S. You know, you got 1,000 kids in your high school, and it's hard to know everybody. But we had that community where we grew up at church, and you knew everybody. You knew everybody's parents, and they knew you. So you get in trouble both ways, coming and going if you were fooling around as a kid. But I think it was a great way to grow up, kind of how it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
You know, 100 families maybe, and that was it.
That's it. That's exactly how I remember it. Mm-hmm. Like I felt important because I knew that everybody knew me. That's exactly how I remember it.
But yeah, then okay, so I'll continue. I guess through high school, graduated 2006, and I always knew that I wanted to become either in the military or law enforcement, maybe a firefighter. Never really decided for sure. But I decided to pursue the Army. So I'd taken all my tests and everything, and the ASVAB and all that, and I was planning on going into the Army. And then I met the former chief 2 chiefs ago at Stone Mountain, and he's like, hey, we got an opening for police officer. You should at least come and apply. I'm like, well, you know, I'm kind of already in this big process. And he's like, well, it doesn't hurt to interview. Just keep your options open. So it's like, well, you know, God may be giving me an opportunity here. What's the harm in interviewing?
Yeah.
So I interviewed and ended up getting the job, and went to the police academy, and from there just went to every training class I possibly could for years and years and years, and ended up getting several promotions through the ranks. And I don't know where you want me to stop and discuss
so
more so or less.
How many years do you have in public
16 years.
Dang. It's been that long?
It has been.
God. That's pretty awesome. Time flies.
Yes.
Man, good for you. Mm-hmm. I wish I had 16 years.
You're too far behind him, brother.
Clint is looking at me like, yeah, bro, you don't wish that because you're still 26. So obviously.
Quite that young.
So obviously, I want some more years so I can retire.
You're almost there, brother. We were just talking 11 years.
Yeah, you're right. I am almost there.
You're over halfway there.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I don't know when it's going to happen. At this point, who knows? You know?
I'm not even a third of the way there.
Well, I tell my wife, I tell Meg all the time, I'm like, I plan on, retiring at a certain age, but then I'm like, well, heck, I don't really know, you know? Because what if I get there and it's like, I don't really want to? I might as well keep going until they start taking my money from me. But
Then you fight them.
yeah, no, at that point, I will definitely have people fighting for me. I'm not fighting anybody. But so, and all of it's been at Stone Mountain, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then, but recently, see, I don't know why he left this out. You know, I would expect the police officer to leave this out, but him and another guy that we work with up there, they actually recently became firemen as well.
Yes,
Which-
this is true. Yeah.
I'm not shocked that, you know, a police officer would not be
Figured you'd be
bragging
prouder
about
of it.
Yeah, I did too.
I did go through the fire academy. Let's see, is it 2.5 years ago?
It was right, like, yeah, right before
Traitor.
I got on.
How
with
dare
it.
you?
So I'm very
How could you?
yeah, but well, I'm still both. So
I'm just joking.
I would say in my current role, the police department takes up about 90% of my time.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
you know, it was a good experience going through the fire academy. Overall, I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't recommend doing it if you're 35 years old.
Yeah.
But it was good.
So I actually think very highly of him and also our colonel over at Stone Mountain, and then our the fire captain who got his as well. I think it's very very honorable because y'all are all in positions to where you might have to do both of those jobs. So you went through a lot of crap to get a profession, be part of a profession that you really didn't sign up for, but
Right.
you did, kind of,
Sure.
So, because at Stone Mountain, it's like public service together, right? We do everything together. One thing I do love when we're at Stone Mountain and I need somebody like the police officer for medical purposes, like all those guys are on it. Like they're all about helping everything. You know, sometimes in the field, man, them cops show up and they're like, all right, you want me to do traffic? Like, what do you want me to do? Well, this
Something.
guy's dying, so
Something, please.
could you just like push their chest or something? Do something. But that's not how it is at Stone Mountain. We have
Park right in the front of the house that's burning. That's what I want you to do.
so we have very good officers who are like they help so much. But I also think that comes from our leadership too. I really enjoy working at Stone Mountain and our leadership. Like, there's not one person there that I can think of that like, you know how we work with people we don't like. I still haven't met somebody at Stone Mountain I really don't like. Like, it's very enjoyable. I just keep when I go home after work, I go up to Megan and I say, well, she's asleep, but the next day I go, hey, I just want to make sure you didn't want me. I could still work at Stone Mountain, right? Because I'm like, yeah, I like that job, right? But
It's a great place to work. I mean, it's the best place to work. I can't think of a better place to work. Coming from, jobs I had beforehand, and hating going to work every day and everything like that. I mean, I don't know, and it's easy for me. I'm saying this as the chief, okay, Mr. Give a good PR to the department, but there's not anyone I know that works for us that can't stand coming to work and they're miserable there and everything. It's a great place.
Well, from what Scotty said, it sounds like a pretty cool place to be.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, and here's another thing is the people like the people who are ahead of you, they're very approachable. Like I'm not gonna toot his horn because I've known David forever. I don't have to toot his horn. If I was at Stone Mountain, they don't know. I don't think they know how long we've known each other, but they would probably be like, "Oh, he's sucking up to Chief," but I don't, because I'm gonna tell you what's great about Chief Hill is, first of all, he's a young guy, so that's a big role to take on as a mid-30s guy, the chief of the whole department, and having to take this role, especially. And I don't know much about the old chief, but tell us a little about the old chief. Like, this guy, from what I hear, is like this incredible know-it-everything kind of guy.
He's a legend, yeah.
Yeah, like a legend. Yeah, you're right. And so tell us a little bit about the past chief and that the shoes you had to step into.
Okay, so how I became chief, I guess. I don't really like talking a lot about myself anyway, so this will be great. So I'll start with Chief Kelly, who was 2 chiefs ago.
Yeah.
He'd been there for, I think, when he retired was 47 years. And he was chief for 26 or 27 of those years. And if anyone listen from Stone Mountain, I'm sorry if I'm getting those numbers wrong. But he basically started, or he built that department into what it was. Police officer, firefighter, EMT, helicopter pilot, diver, almost anything you can think of. He not only was, but he was probably an instructor in it at some point and all that, just everything.
Yeah.
A true jack of all trades.
For sure. And a master of most of them.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I'm jack of all trades, master of none of them.
Right.
Yeah. Know how you feel.
So he retired, and he promoted at this time. I was the captain over the law enforcement division, uniform division commander. There was an assistant chief above me and the chief. Captain Ray Elliott was over fire. He was police, fire, EMT certified as well. When the chief and the assistant chief, they both retired the same month because they had both been there at the same time. They started at the same time, 47 years earlier, and they both retired. Ray Elliott got promoted to chief, and he promoted me to assistant chief. Unfortunately, and we had worked together for, at that time, 10, 12 years, somewhere around there. 13 years, I think. And he got sick within 2 weeks of him being in the job, and he was out. He was in a doctor's office, hospital, at home. So I ended up becoming the temporary chief.
Yeah.
While he was out, we were still talking on the phone, everything else. About 4 months later, he passed away. So a couple months after that, after his funeral and everything kind of died down, they promoted me to chief of police and fire. Well, director of public safety is what it's called, but it's basically chief of police and fire. And then at that time, I thought I was just a police officer.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have to go to the fire academy, but I thought if I'm going to be in charge of 12, 13 firefighters and a fire department, I kind of need to know I need to know something about it. I need to know what I'm doing a little bit to give some sort of direction. I'm not going to have near the experience. And I tell you guys in training all the time, I'm learning more than anything. You guys teach me more than, I don't have the experience you guys have. I've been a firefighter for 3 years now, so I'm not going to be able to teach anybody a thing. But I wanted to at least know something about what's going on. I thought that was my responsibility.
Which is very commendable. Not a lot of people would do that because people who don't know the fire academy and that's not easy to do. It sucks.
No, not even close.
There's a lot of things that suck really bad in it.
Yes.
So I thought that was really awesome of you. And then especially when Colonel went through it, and then because Colonel's how old?
I don't know exactly how old. I'll tell you, he's in his 40s though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he just went through it. And I'll be honest, like like when we were helping him train and stuff, I was like, oh, he's gonna get beat up. This is gonna suck. But man, he did great. Like I was super proud of him. So while as a police officer, in what roles or how did you use your faith the best or the most when you were in that role? Like were there times where you're kind of like, you had doubts or you had something that you needed help with something? Like how long have you been married?
It'll be 8 years tomorrow.
How long have you been? Oh,
yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy
You're
early
welcome.
anniversary.
You're welcome, Sydney. We
Yes,
just
thanks, Sydney.
reminded him. And so, so what do you think before? Like, how long have you been with her before that?
4 years before that.
So, 12 years. So,
Right.
Early in your career, you didn't have.
No, I was single for the first 4 to 5 years of my law enforcement career, which I think also honestly benefited me tremendously because I I worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to every training class I could. I had the benefit of, what do they say about luck? It's where preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
I guess insecurities, right?
Yeah.
You always want to. I want to be worth something. I want to prove that I'm worthy. So going to every training class I could. I would even, if it was a training class I wasn't allowed to go to, I would negotiate at the time. Be like, hey, I'll use a week's vacation, and I'll build my own sniper rifle if you'll send me to sniper school. Those are the kinds of things I would do.
Yeah.
At the time, not many people were willing. Not really, no one else in our department was willing to do that. So I just racked up all these credentials. Didn't have a spouse or a girlfriend to worry about or anything. I just went to work, and next thing I know, promotions were available. I interviewed for them, and based on all the classes that I had taken, I outscored a lot of people, and then kept going up and up.
So that's that's really fortunate, because a lot of things in the fire service that I don't want to say limited, but people earlier in my fire service days were like, you need to go get this class, you need to get this training, you need to do this, and I'm like, listen, like I have a wife and a kid at home, like
Sure.
I'm not going to train every week and proctor and do all these things. I said I can't. Unfortunately for me, it doesn't work that way. And see, people don't get that. And but sometimes I'm like, man, I could have done all this stuff, but then it's like I wouldn't take that back, because
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I just do the best I can, with that. So that was very fortunate of you. So when you met your wife and all that stuff, what part of has faith played in your role in first responding or police, being an officer and that kind of thing?
Sure. Well, we'll back up a little bit to high school. My mom passed away when I was 17, and that I was in 11th grade at the time, and that played a big impact on my future, of course, my life. It still does, of course. But we're absolute, hospital bills and everything. We didn't have any money, like no money. So I started working. I was an athlete in high school. I played every sport they offered for males.
Really good athlete, by the way.
But I knew that was never going anywhere as far as, getting me paid in the future.
Yeah.
So started working, and I made $53 a week was my paycheck, because I worked Saturdays. I had practice every other night, Monday through Friday. I worked Saturdays, and working all day Saturday got me $53 after taxes, and that was my money for the week. My dad didn't have any money to give me. Nobody had any money to give me. I had a little $1,500 busted Jeep Grand Cherokee that guzzled gas. So basically my whole senior year, I'm driving to school Monday, Tuesday. By Wednesday, I'm running out of money for gas. So maybe I go to football practice, shower, see everybody, have a good night, blah, 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 see you tomorrow. And I just get in my Jeep and spend the night, because I, can't drive home. Don't have any gas money to drive home, come back. By the morning, I'm there, quote unquote, before everybody else is. Hey, good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Act like nothing happened. So that was a lot of my senior year, was struggling. So I was looking for something good to happen in life, which, when your mom passes away and a lot of bad stuff happens all at the same time. Actually, there's more to the story. I guess both my grandmothers and my mom passed away within 14 months.
Oh God.
So,
that.
and it was my mom's mom lived with us since I was 6 months old too. So I was like losing another mother figure who lived with us my whole life. And so it was a lot of loss instantly, a lot of emptiness. And my brother had moved off to college. So we went from a household of 5 people to it's me and my dad. And You know, my dad's
Yeah.
busy working and stuff, trying to help pay the bills and my mom's hospital bills and funeral bill, you know, that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden I was very alone. So when I always wanted to be a police officer. So when I got the job as a police officer, I finally felt like I'm going to be worth something. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
always, when
Make
you're
a
in high
difference.
school, you never really know, like, what am I going to do with my life? You know, I want to be something.
Yeah.
So my goal in law enforcement at the time, first of all, pass the academy. Then I'll really prove that I'm worth something.
Yeah.
You know, do a good enough job to get through FTO, and then I'll be on the road. Then I'd be like, okay, you know what? That's a police officer. That's a respectable position. You're never going to be rich, but people recognize that. They respect you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's it. And then I wanted to be good enough at that job to get one promotion. I said, if I get one promotion in law enforcement, I'll be a corporal. I will be happy to retire a corporal. It just shows that I'm good enough at being a police officer that I can supervise one person.
Yeah.
and that's it. And God has just, you know, they blessed me abundantly, above
yeah.
all that I could ask or think, more than I deserve, by far. I don't really like talking about myself, you know that.
Yeah, I know.
But
It's very awkward. This man's also climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and that's not a joke.
that is true. Yes.
Very impressive.
That's pretty.
Did
that's
that
pretty
last
awesome.
year. Yep.
You said last year?
Yeah, last the
How
end of
cool is
January,
that?
beginning of February.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
He came in like it was no problem. He's like, yeah, I made that mountain my B.
Oh no, that is not true at all. That thing had me crying.
Well, yeah. So why didn't you lead off with that? That was all some good stuff about your life.
Well, you know, I'm getting into it, I guess. You know? I've never done a podcast before, so
Yeah. So I want to tell you, I know I hit on it at the beginning, but like he just talked about his mom, hit on his mom, and I'm gonna tell y'all both. Like, I'm not playing. His mom was one of those people that literally, I don't think there's a room she's walked in where she didn't touch or where she didn't help somebody better their life. Like I said, as a kid, I remember I wrote a post. I did a post a little bit. Sometimes I do these little sappy posts, and sometimes I do like some like posts that, you know, I just want people to read. And I did a post not long ago because I was thinking about your mom. And I was leaving Stone Mountain, and I got home and I wrote this post. And a lot of it was it pertained to her and some other people, like Mrs. Frazier. She teaches my kids still.
wow.
Yeah, she's been.
She was my second grade teacher.
Yeah, she was my second grade teacher. So, and those are people I'm thinking of.
Sure.
And so, but like his mom, like was one of those. She was always, you know, she took care of me in the nursery. She took care of me in preschool. Like she was always volunteering. Like to this day, like as a kid, you know how, you know, there's people in your life as a kid that you remember them distinctly. Like I can see her smiling face, like, you know, as a kid. And I moved away. I stopped going to the same school as David when I was in 8th grade, and I went to Brookwood. So I didn't see all the people at the school, that community we had talked about earlier, as much. I would go visit and stuff because my best friend was pretty much best friends with David too. I mean, they were really close. The same friend that we've talked about in the past that died in the car wreck. David and I both had to endure that too, which, might I add, wasn't that much longer after you lost your mom. What, 3 years? Maybe.
Probably within 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah. And so you got to add that too, man.
Right.
And but I'll tell you, like that was a while ago, and I remember, I still to this day, because I didn't find out that his mom has passed until after the funeral. Because back then there wasn't social. I mean, you have
Sure.
social media and all this stuff. That wasn't really a thing. Like, and I'll never forget how mad I was about that. Like, that I didn't find out about that, and I was so mad that I blamed myself a lot. And there were some other people that passed away, but I blamed myself a lot because I felt like I didn't stay involved as much. And it's like, man, like that's why I always try to make sure if I can get to a funeral, if it's possible, I'm gonna be there, because I don't want to do that, because I still feel bad, like I get mad about that, because I was like, man, like if I would have paid attention or talked to people more, I would have known that. Well, that's also before Willie passed away, and Willie passing away is pretty much what changed my life. I wasn't the same kind of person as I was before, because when he passed away, I changed my life. And so, but I can't speak more highly of a woman than his mom. And I'm just telling you from an outside perspective, like, she is one of those people, if you had a person in your life that you, like, that will always be with you, that was her. Like, I mean, she was just she would come in a room, and that's why I said it was so crazy, because I remember her punishing me a lot. Like, I remember her spanking me one time. But like, it's so weird, because as a kid, like, I didn't remember not being upset. Like, she knew how to like do it, and then she would sit you down, and the way she talked to you was like absolute love. So you almost like you forgot that you just got your butt smacked.
She did, like, yeah, she didn't have a temper.
No,
she was reasonable about the whole thing, and after she'd wear you out, she'd sit you down and look you in the eye and be like, "Now here's 3 reasons why this happened."
She did, yeah.
And she'd just talk you through it, and you're sitting there crying.
Yeah.
And she would just step by step.
But she would always, I think she spanked. I can only remember 2 times off the top of my head. I'm sure she did more because I was a bad kid. But man, I remember she'd always hug me too, like, and I love that. You know,
she'd make you hug her after she spanked you, and make sure you knew.
My parents did the same thing.
Yeah,
and we and so that post that I said was because there's a lot of people in that age and growing up that, like, they didn't give you a chance. Like, it was like they punished you because it's almost like they wanted to punish you because they didn't like you, and it's like, man, that just stinks. But you know, those people have made that foundation to me. So when I lost and went through that, you know, I lost my scholarship, and I lost my best friend, 2 of my best friends, and then that whole year was just a terrible year. I look back on it now as I'm older, and I'm like, man, all those people like that is what gave me that strength and that endurance to get through that stuff and move on, and along with God, obviously. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, because like, his mom was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lady, and I wish that a lot of other people had the patience that she did with the children, because a lot of times we don't have that. This is a society now that doesn't really, man, the patience we have with kids is not there. I hate saying that, and I'm not calling anybody a bad parent or anything, but you know what I'm saying, like, in general, in America, there's no patience anymore. It's terrible, and it's just sad, because I think about all those people. Like, every time I see Mrs. Frazier in the car line with my kids, like, I'm just like, gosh, how can I get like that? You know, like,
sure,
I'm like still aiming for that. You know, but yeah, I don't want to be the only one talking. Clint, man, get your hands out of your pocket and say something.
It's cold in here now. Scotty, it's all about Scotty. You got hot, so you take your shirt off, and I turn the air off, and now the rest of it's cold. You sure you want me to keep talking?
No, you can shut up. You know, I usually rely on my firefighter buddy, and he's just being a jerk tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what got into me.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. I think he's hangry.
It's because I'm cold. Maybe.
Yeah, I think you're hangry. I think he's hangry.
The pizza was calling my name.
What? I guess I'll just keep talking because this is another thing that and like I said earlier when I was saying tooting your horn, but one thing I love about you as the chief of our department, because you have a lot on your plate as a young chief, and I think it's so awesome how approachable you are, because it's hard to find people in authority, not just chiefs, but in authority, that legitimately spend the time and legitimately like ask questions and want to know about their people. I told in Cherokee when I left, I had an exit interview, and they asked me, you know, what do you think could improve the department? Like, you know, why are you leaving? Which they already knew that, but what do you think can improve the department? And I literally told him, I said, look, you could not give these people raises, and if you went to the station every once in a while and just showed that you cared about them,
Mm-hmm.
they would be happy. Because when we're sitting around the table at dinner and we're talking about things, if we don't know who you are and you don't know who we are, like those people that we think you want nothing to do with us. Like you don't care about us. And you can Clint, you know this, like it's but if you show up and you actually like even if you don't listen to a word we say, if you just
Right.
literally showed up and we have it a little differently. You know, we're all together at Stone Mountain, but like Chief will come in there, he'll be doing traffic. That's another thing. He's the chief of the whole department. He goes out there on busy days and stands in the road and does traffic. Like I'm not a police officer, but most PD officers hate that crap. And he's out there doing it with like the Rangers and stuff because we're short of staff and everything. He's out there doing the worst job in the park. Like literally, I can't think of a worse job than in the park. And because on 4th of July, if y'all
Oh,
ever
my
been to Stone
goodness.
Mountain 4th
Oh,
of
yeah.
July,
Yeah.
it sucks when with the traffic.
yeah.
And so this guy, and he's out there doing it. And so the other guys see that. That's leading by example. I think that's amazing. And then he'll go out there and coming off of traffic, he'll come in our bay, in our little firefighter like day room. He'll sit down and talk with us, ask us how we're doing and everything. And like you don't understand how much that means to us, because that just shows us that you actually give a rip about who we are. You
Right.
know, and I respect that a lot about you.
Yeah, I'm not too good to do all the jobs. You know, I started as a ranger. I was there and I moved all the way up. So I've done every job our department has. You know, and I'm not that kind of chief. I mean, one of the things that I didn't like, nothing against our previous administration or anything, but one of the things I didn't like was, hey, this is the way we do things. Okay, have we tried it this way? No, this is the way we do things. This is the way we've always done it, and this is the way we're going to do it, because this is how we've done it. And there's just never any flexibility there.
Yeah.
And these days you can't. So 20 years ago, there in law enforcement at least, there may have been 20 interviews for one position available. So you got 19 people ready to take your job if you're not willing to do the work. You know, so you back then, chiefs, administrators, they could treat people kind of however they wanted. Like,
Yeah.
hey, there's 19 people ready to take your job right now. So you work morning watch for the first 3 years of your career, which I did. I got put on the night shift for 3 years.
Yuck.
You know, first 3 years of my career, but I said, thank you, yes, sir. you know what I mean? And the way things are now, as far as recruiting and the way departments run, is the opposite. We're having to recruit like a college football coach. Like, hey, please,
Yeah.
please come talk to us. Please come interview.
Right.
Let
I
us
think
tell
that's
you
just
why.
public safety in general these
Yeah,
days.
why
Yeah.
we're better. You know, and you're competing with other agencies for very few people want to be police officers anymore. So, I mean, who am I to say I'm too good to go out and direct traffic give someone a break so they can go eat lunch or something?
Well, they appreciate it.
I got some good advice early in my career. That like, the higher you go up the ladder, the more of a servant you should become. And I think that's awesome to see that you're doing that. And I know that you guys do appreciate it. And then Scotty was talking about, you know, if these guys would be willing to just come out and be seen, you know.
Sure.
That's another thing. Like, well, one of the biggest gripes that I hear and that I've had myself is, man, they forgot where they came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, and if you feel like one of your leaders remembers where they came from and cares about you, that means the world, you know. And I think that you'll have some retention with that too. The people that
Right.
people that want to be there, you know, you're gonna have people running and chasing money, but you have some loyal people that care. And unfortunately, we cater to we're trying to hire anybody that we can get,
Right.
and we cater to those folks just trying to keep butts in the seats
Right.
now. And I don't know,
I
it's just kind of
hate-
a vicious cycle.
I hate
With all of
that phrase.
Butts and seats.
Yep.
Yeah, or a warm body.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we officers, even corporals and sergeants, they'll get onto me and the colonel all the time because I hate wearing. I don't wear a white shirt. I rarely ever, unless I have to for a presentation or something. I do not like wearing a white shirt. I don't even like wearing my bars or rank insignias or anything. People know who I am. I don't have to. You don't have to walk around and parade and prove to everyone that I'm not that kind of chief. I don't like that. The colonel's not that kind of colonel.
Nah, he's not.
Everyone's always like, where's your Eagles, where's your and I'm like, oh, I wear a regular uniform every day, just like a patrol officer. Vest, gun belt, everything. I'm not coming in slacks and a collared shirt. That's not the job.
Well, that's the other thing I was about to say is they come in and they work the street, man. Like, they don't sit in the office all day. Oh, never mind. Yeah, he sits in the office all day. He's what a bum. Yeah, but like half the time I go, because when I'm there and I need I got a question because they've been there for a while. I'll go over there and none of them are in their office because they're out like on the street doing something.
traffic
and I'm
stop
like,
or
yeah, and
something.
I'm like, goodness gracious, that's legit.
Kind of leaves me some questions I've got for you.
Finally, jeez.
You know what? I also want to say something too. I'm not even going to give you any grief back.
Here we go.
No, what I want to say is, I think the world of Scotty. He's an awesome guy. Y'all, maybe I don't give you enough confidence.
He is.
Everybody
He
thinks
really
I'm joking right now.
Oh, man.
And we were talking earlier when we got here, me and David. And I was,
Before
man,
you
I
got
love,
here.
I love giving Scotty a hard time. I just love it. And it's just the way we show love.
I love it too.
And most of the folks, if somebody else is listening out there, like, man, Clint, he really is bad mood, man. He's Scotty. He's butting heads all day. No, not at all. Not even close.
Heck no.
But to round and round back, I am finally saying something, and I feel like this is a decent question.
Good.
So you worked your way up through the ranks. You started at the bottom, and you worked your way up, and then also you're newer as a firefighter. Going to the academy more recently.
Right.
So you've got a good look at people starting out and the people later in their careers, higher up in rankings.
Sure.
What would be a piece of advice that you would give for a day one rookie? Doesn't matter, just public safety in general. Doesn't matter for police or fire. But what would be a piece of advice you'd give a day one rookie?
The first thing I would tell them is it's hard to say, pay attention, be disciplined. There's a lack of respect for law enforcement these days.
Yeah.
But another big problem I see is the lack of respect by young officers for their own command staff. I was teaching a class 2 days ago, and a rookie's sitting there on his phone while I'm teaching. Now, when I was a rookie,
Oh, God.
even ever in my career, but when, 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have phones to play on, but
No.
at the same time, you wouldn't have dreamed of looking at your phone while a chief of police or any instructor's up there teaching a class. But that's the kind of thing that I see out of these young kids coming in these days, is that the lack of care. This is your first year on the job, and you got someone teaching a class. You should be learning this. You don't know this yet. It's kind of like when you have teenage kids and they think they know more than mom and dad do. And I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm saying that's something I see this younger generation, the lack of discipline, the lack of motivation. I'm having to beg people to go to classes now. When I was younger, I was begging to go to classes. I was using vacation time to go to classes that I wasn't allowed to go to on duty. You know what I mean? And there's none of that anymore that I've seen so far. That would be a rare occurrence. And these days it's like, hey, can you go? There's this DUI class coming up. I'd love for you to be able to handle this call when a drunk crashes into a minivan with a mom and her kids at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got a video game tournament or whatever. It's like, this is your career. This is your, how good do you want to be at this job? Is this and that's what I see the younger generations trying to get them motivated into something. Pay attention in class. Sit forward. Don't slouch down. And I mean, that's just what I see. That'd be the number one thing, is like, show some motivation. Show some care about your job, your chosen profession. Nobody made you come do this. You chose this job. So do it. Be it, you know?
I would absolutely agree with you. And that's on both sides. I think that because that goes back to the whole warm body or butts and seats. I can't stand that. And you know who hates that phrase more than I do? My wife.
Sure.
Because when she hears that, she hears that there's an incompetent person sitting next to me on that rig that my life might fall into their hands.
Right.
And
Some kid who was on his phone during that class that you need to know how to save your life.
And she's like, I'm telling y'all right now, if there's anybody listening to this and you don't care about your job and you're on a rig with me and I do die and you didn't help me and you didn't do anything, I'm pretty sure my wife's coming after you. She's going to make
You're
sure.
also gonna die.
Yeah, you're basically going to be buried, not next to me because she's not going to want that, but you're going to be buried somewhere where no one's going to find you.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like, think about that. Like, I mean, you've seen that. Y'all seen this. Like, I can't stand that. Okay, this is not a knock on my training division, okay? But my rookie that I got last year came out in the field and did not know how to catch a fire hydrant.
Was it running away from you or something?
I mean, didn't know how to do it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That they didn't know how to catch a fire hydrant. I had to teach them how to pull 5-inch off the rear of a truck. And I asked him, I said, go grab the 5-inch. And he goes, how do I do it? I said, what do you mean? He goes, we never grabbed the 5-inch. I've never touched 5-inch hose before. That's after rookie school.
Wow.
Well, he said, and I said, wait a minute. Because I like the people in our training division. So I didn't want to jump to conclusions. And I'm like, what do you mean you never touched? He goes, when we did fire training, everything was already set up for us. So we kind of just did that. And I'm like, I get that, but man, like, so we were told it's your responsibility. That's my responsibility as their officer. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that, okay, but
You gotta have a baseline. You gotta have a foundation to build on.
and you know that's fine. But here's the thing: is that these guys are coming out, and they're not ready. They're not even ready to fight a fire. They're not.
And they could potentially walk out, get on the rig that first day, and that could be their first call.
Absolutely. One of the guys I was in rookie school with, his second call was a fire. Mm-hmm. My first call was a guy who had hung himself, been hanging there for 2 days. That sucked because I was like, what are we going into, you know?
I do have a second answer to your question about what would I tell a brand new rookie. Mm-hmm. And that is the second most important decision of your whole life is who you decide to date and then marry. And they can, as far as your career is concerned, the first response I had was career only mindset.
Yeah.
But who you decide to spend your time with, and that's friends or anybody, but who you decide to date and then marry, they can either be your biggest cheerleader and your helper throughout the rest of your career, or they can ruin the rest of your life career-wise. I'm sure there's plenty of officers listening to this podcast knows somebody who had such potential as a police officer. They would have been chief one day. I mean, no doubt. But they married the wrong person that started wrecking their world. So I would say be very careful who you decide to actually marry. That's one reason why I spent 4 years with my wife before I decided, I wanted to be sure. Mm-hmm. I've seen too many of my divorces and problems, and I was like, there's a lot of statistics that show how long you spend with someone before you marry them. Go through every season with them a few times. You know how they react to things. You know that person pretty well by then, and you can make a good judgment call. But every promotion I ever got was after I met my wife. I had done the prep work for years before there was a promotional opportunity. I met my wife. We started dating. Interview came up. She was there helping me study for it. She wasn't complaining that I'll be moved to a different shift or this or that. She improved my life because I was with her.
Yeah.
And to this day, she still does. She is a helper. She improves my life. She doesn't burden me down with, she doesn't make my life worse. You know, a lot of wives can do that to their spouses, to where they're like, all right, well, I'm not going for that promotion because I got all this other baggage or drama in my life and this and that. You know, that's a big thing. If you have someone pushing you up and making you better, helping you study for promotional exams and things like that, I mean, how can you replace that?
Well, and it's,
you know,
and that also, it's helping you understand, but it's also prepping her, because, I mean, some of these, and you know, give a benefit of the doubt to some of these women and men who are in you know, law enforcement or firefighting. That's not a normal career. So like,
Sure.
you got to find out, like, you got to make sure that she's okay with that. And, you know, spending 4 years where she can see what you're actually going to be going through and all that kind of stuff, it helps prep her. Like I tell people, one thing, the reason why Megan's so great with me being a fireman is because her dad was. So she knew.
she knew.
She knew what I was getting into.
Right.
But when I see a lot of wives and the guys that I've been over and been with, it's hard for them to adapt because it is not normal. And I get it. I do get it. But, you know, also we have to be very conscious of each other's. I mean, it's like I said on the show before, when you say I do, you become one flesh.
Right.
And so it's not all about you anymore. It's about her, and her focus should be you.
Right.
Because you have the right hand, she's the left hand, or she's the left hand, you're the right hand, kind of thing, and you are one. And so it's hard in this job. That's why the divorce rate's so high too, because people get married or they get in this job and they really didn't they didn't prep their wives, or they didn't do anything. They didn't think about it, because I can see where you wouldn't, but then again, like, it's not easy, you know.
Seems like you see a lot of people too that maybe they went and did some type of different work and then decided they wanted to become a firefighter or a police officer after they've already been married. So it's like they've completely changed your life up at that point,
It's
which
hard.
I could imagine would be very tough.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that good foundation, like he's talking about, like somebody that you can, you know, weather any season, whether that be figuratively or, you know,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have that good foundation as a couple, as a husband and wife, how are you gonna take on any of those other challenges?
Absolutely.
Like life changes like that, and that goes with having kids and deaths in your family, whatever, you know. So, and I actually talked to some of our new guys. One of our newer guys, he's dating this girl, and they've been together for like 3 months, and you can just tell he's getting antsy. And I'm always asking him about her. And we've got another guy that I worked with him at another station. Now we're stationed together again, and he's been with his girl for a while now, and he's more confident in it. Like they've been together for a couple of years, I guess now, but he's more confident. It's cool seeing the different stages and looking back on what I remember, you know, in my life. And I tell these guys, I was like, man, I said, don't ever rush the decision. But if you think she's the one, man, I love being married. That's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Oh.
Best thing I ever did.
But that's my
Best
wife is
thing
the
I
same
ever
way.
did.
Like you were
100%.
talking about, you know, your wife being there and helping you prepare for promotions and stuff like that. I remember going through EMT school. People are gonna make fun of me for this, I'm sure. But the first time I ever tried an IV was on my wife. We
Oh,
weren't
she
married at
let
the time.
you?
Yeah, shaking like a leaf, missed it.
Wait, but your first time?
Yeah.
Ooh,
So-
she's brave. I just
So
think
here's
a lot more of her
backstory.
now.
So my mom is a nurse, and she brought
I didn't
home.
know that.
Yeah, she brought home, and I was gonna make a joke, but anyways, I love you, Mama.
Go
All
ahead,
right,
Clint.
heck, might as
Proceed.
well make the joke now.
What are you talking about? Hey,
She's
you
an
want me to talk
she's an
about my mom?
LPN, and I've
Okay.
heard the old joke. Let's
Yeah.
play nurse. Anyways, she's gonna kick my tail later. I'm gonna have to call her and be like, "Hey, Mama, just want you to know,
Prepping you.
just kidding." Just like I was messing with Scotty's. Anyways, she brought home some IV supplies for me to practice with. So we weren't even trying it in class or anything yet. And she was all excited about me doing it and everything and want me to try it. So I'm over there shaking like a leaf, trying to I was pretty much stabbing her at this point. I didn't achieve nothing. You know? But anyway, that's just funny to me. She was willing to do that, and there's so many other stories I could tell about just things throughout my career that she's always been there and supporting me. I couldn't imagine doing it without her. That's some really great advice.
It's definitely the best decision I've made. It's funny you said that because I was coaching earlier before we came here, and since I've stepped down from the head coaching role on the varsity team, I'm the head coach of like the JV, but I also take care of all the catchers, pitchers, and that kind of thing. And so I was working with one of the catchers, and Meg came to pick the girls up because I have to kind of watch them until she can pick them up during baseball season. And she came up there, and this kid, he's new on the team. He can't, so he don't know me. So he's got a lot. He probably overwhelming him. And I said, she came over there. She got the kids, and I went over there and said, "I'll see you later, babe. Sorry, I gotta go to what you call afterwards." She goes, "Oh yeah, no problem." And I come back, and I was like, "Sorry, Jack," because that's the kid's name. I was like, "Sorry, Jack. I didn't mean for the interruption." He's like, "It's okay." I was like, "Yeah, but my wife's so freaking hot, and it's hard for me to like stay away from her if she's around, so I had to go over there and kiss her." He goes, "Oh, okay." He's just like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, coach.
Yeah,
I saw her over there.
she is hot. Yeah, what?
That checks out.
Yeah, you're benched.
He's my only catcher. He's not benched. But you say helping with promotions. So every year, I've tried to promote I've been eligible to promote for the last like 6 years. And every year that promotions come up, that I've been eligible, or if she's trying to get a promotion, it's funny because when we go down to wherever we're vacationing that year, it's usually right before our promotion.
Right.
And we do that we've been trying to do that kind of like strategically to like clear your mind.
Give you time to
A little
study.
stress relief.
But the whole way down there, like to Florida or wherever we're going, the whole way there and the whole way back, like we put TVs or whatever for the kids in the back so they can't hear anything, put headphones on, and then us two literally like listen to ACLS, or we listen to like that we ask questions. I'll ask the questions, like go through my study guide and everything, like the whole way down there.
ACLS.
And it actually, what?
ACLS?
Yeah.
I knew you were a nerd.
Not me, as Megan.
Well, whatever, bro.
But yeah, so whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, can we get rid of Clint?
You,
I'm pretty sure I can find another fireman to come in here and do this thing.
you should have heard me quizzing Sydney. My wife's a nurse as well. She's an ICU nurse. She's also a hospice nurse. She has like 5 jobs, to be honest. She just collects them like some people collect stamps. It's incredible.
I don't know how you're keeping up then.
I know. But all through her career, through nursing school and everything else, quizzing her, man, those big words. I'm reading these questions to her, and I'm like, they're just ridiculous words I've never heard of before, and but you got to help your spouse. I mean, that's what you got to support each other.
Yeah.
And a lot of you don't want to be unequally yoked. I mean,
Absolutely.
you don't want to be the one person always helping and giving, and they're just expecting. And I see that happen a lot on both sides, not just husbands or wives or whatever. But
yeah, men can be bad at that, more bad at that than women. But it is,
sure.
Yeah, it's on both sides. But we tend sometimes to be that guy that wants more and doesn't give more.
Sure.
It's, to me, it's sad when I'm out in the store. My wife and I talk about this all the time. I'm out in the store with 4 kids, and I mean, I can't go into that store with all my kids and not have a minimum of 5 women come up to me and go, "Oh, you're such a good dad. Oh, you are such." And I'm thinking to myself, like, you don't know me. What if I'm a bad dad? Like, you don't know if just because I have my kids. I always in my mind when they tell me that, in my mind I go, "Oh, well, thank you for congratulating or telling me how good of a dad I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing." Like, but
What
then
would your other say? Come up, "You're a terrible father."
what?
Would that make you better? Would that make you happy?
No. But what I'm going
I'm gonna start
with,
coming to the store just
what
to
I'm
follow you
going-
around.
what I'm going-
I'm gonna build you. I'm gonna break you back down and build you up.
hey, from last podcast, we'll know you'll follow somebody into a store.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But like Megan, like women, they'll go into a store with their kids, 4 kids. No one says a word.
It's just a normal day.
They're like, "Oh, yeah, she has 4 kids, whatever." You know, and it's like, man, how did we get as men? How did we?
It's sad.
You
State
know,
in
like-
America. I mean, there's a
sucks.
lot of fatherless homes.
That sucks.
You know, and that's
Sad to hear that. I can't imagine as a dad not wanting to be around my
Oh
babies.
my gosh.
It breaks my heart to think that. You know.
That's the one negative about my job is, man, when I leave in the morning, I tell people that's the toughest thing about my job is when I give my kids a kiss in the morning and I leave. Because all I can think about for 24 hours is I can't wait to get back home and see them again. Like, and my wife, of course, but like, I just don't get it. Like,
I got home today and still had my uniform on. My little girl said, Daddy, no, go back to fire station. Daddy played with me. And it makes you happy, but at the same time, it's like, man, she knows that I'm gone when I'm gone. You know what I mean? It just kind of makes you sad. And then there's been times like there was one time she got a new dress, and she's like, Mommy, I want you to take a video and send to Daddy at the fire station.
oh man,
And it's like, man, it's like sometimes it's tough. You know, it's like man, I want to be there with her to see her trying that dress on, you know, and because she. But at the same time, I love what I do. I love going. There's
that's
plenty of
healthy.
more. Yeah,
they're having you love what you do, and I tell people all the time, don't follow the money, follow something that you have a passion and you love to do, because if you follow the money, you're gonna hate work. Like there's a possibility if you're just following money, you're gonna hate working.
You're never
gotta
gonna, you're never going to be truly happy or satisfied.
No, you have to find something that you enjoy doing, and that makes you a better husband, because you're not just going to a job, quote unquote. You're going to something that you have a passion you love. So it makes you a better husband and father.
right. Yeah, you don't want to be a slave to the money of
No.
whatever job you're going to. You know, money only goes so far. If what good is money if you despise
Exactly.
5 days a week? You despise your life because of your job, even though it pays you a lot of money. That's
2 days
not
ain't
worth
enough
it.
to catch
Yeah.
up.
That's not worth it.
No. So I don't. I think that's a positive thing. You know, it's
And we get
I
a
guess a
ticket.
double-edged sword, if you will.
It is.
You know,
We get a ticket to the greatest show on earth in law enforcement and fire. You know, you're never going to get rich. You're never going to get paid a lot, but you get to see some really cool
things.
stuff that a lot of people don't get to see.
yeah, the stuff that
And you
people
can't
break
even-
their neck trying to
You
look
won't
at.
even
What,
be able to tell. You tell people stories that are unbelievable, and they,
people
but-
always are asking.
yep.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
man, my buddy. I might have told y'all this before, but my buddy, because you always got people. What's the worst thing? Or what's the best call you ever ran? Or what's the worst thing you ever ran? And man, my buddy, he trips me out every time. He'll go up and they'll say that, and it'll be like some kid at the last time he said it was a kid at the grocery store. This kid's about like 17 years old. He goes, "What's the worst call you ever ran?" He goes, "Well, hey, I mean, just nonchalant as ever." He goes, "Well, I'd say, I guess the most recent call I could think of is, I saw a guy the other day who hung himself. You know, it's crazy." And the kid is like, "Yeah." He goes, "You're just hanging there like a shirt in a closet. This is the craziest thing." And then he walked off. And the kid was like, "What?"
well, that's what you asked.
He's like, "Yeah, don't ask for something you ain't ready for." But then it also goes to like, when people ask that, we've talked about this before. It's like, you gotta be nervous about what you're asking, because you might be having that guy relive the worst thing he's ever seen in his life.
No.
And people don't know.
Well,
People don't know.
and
That's
I
why
don't
they-
blame.
Have you ever
for that?
You ever shot anybody? It's like don't ask the cop that.
Nah.
You know that they don't. If they have, they don't want to talk about. I mean,
Nah.
maybe they need to talk about it to someone, but not you.
Not
at
you.
Not you at a party the first
Yeah.
time you met them when you're there with their wife. At
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
That's not the time and place. People they're a little inconsiderate on that.
I mean, even for the ones who haven't, like, there's a lot out there who probably have come close to doing it. And they,
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, they don't want to think about that either.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a good depiction of that was in that movie. What was that sniper movie?
American Sniper.
Yeah.
Come on, Chris Kyle. Yeah.
Yeah, when he
With the kid.
with the kid.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine? Like
Rough
he
scene.
didn't
Yeah.
shoot that kid, but like, can you imagine somebody asking him about that later on? Like that's pretty legit. Like,
And how many times did that happen over there that
A lot.
they had to pull
yeah.
the trigger?
Oh, yeah.
And imagine that feeling.
because
bringing
they're
that home. and
they're
somebody else
training
somebody-
them to do that. Those kids, they're training those kids to do that, because kids don't have a concept of death.
Right.
They don't have that concept.
A lot of kids over here in the U.S. these days don't either.
Well, these video games nowadays, like, I mean, they're fun, they're cool and everything, but like, I think that that's why a lot of life has been demoralized a little bit, because we've kind of belittled life a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, I didn't think I'd be the guy that said that back in the day when I was playing Resident Evil, but but you see, I mean, but you watch this now, I mean, it looks freaking real.
Right.
Like, I mean, the video games nowadays are insane. Insane.
I want to shift gears back to the first answer that David gave. Sorry,
Everybody,
Chief.
this is Jacob. He's still part of the crew.
I'm still here, guys. I'm still here.
But Scotty ain't been giving him no grief.
He didn't give me a chance to talk either.
Burn. Yeah, it's whatever.
He ain't getting rid of me. We're boys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the first response that Chief gave to Clint's question about, just a piece of advice for a rookie starting out, and he's talking about being disciplined and just showing respect and in the learning environment. I made the correlation, or I guess a parallel in my mind of being a follower of Christ and our faith. And I guess my point is like, what if we all treat that, have that mindset in our walks with Christ, allowing ourselves to be disciplined or discipled, and having that mindset of, here I am, Lord, like, teach me, show me, but like also, reaching out to somebody who's been doing it longer, to help you walk through and navigate the Christian life, the Christian walk. Because I think at some point, I mean, we never have it all figured out. We never know it all. But I think at some point in time, the role should reverse, and you should be the one that somebody's reaching out to, or that you're, even reaching out to help disciple and help teach and all that. But like, I don't know. That's kind of where my mind went when he was talking about all
No, I
that.
totally get that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And then
Another thing-
also,
I'm sorry.
no, sorry.
No, you.
But also, like, just the way, hearing Scotty talk about the way that you lead, man, that's such a like Christ-like picture. Like Clint said it too, being a servant leader. So I mean, I just think I think that's really
people see
cool.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, people will see that in your life. That's Jonah on Sunday was saying, people need to see something different that's extreme, or and it's like, you can tell when there's something different about somebody, and they have something like that Christ inside of you, or that wholesomeness inside of you that exuberates because of your belief or your faith. Because especially that positive when everybody's down, man. Like, man, nowadays everybody sees that glass half empty. And it's like, man, there's always a positive. There's always a positive.
Yeah.
No matter how bad it gets, there's something that you can look at that's positive.
Right.
And another thing he said too, he said, you've made the choice. You've made the choice to get into this profession.
Heck yeah.
Right. Nobody forced you into
Nobody
it.
forced you into it. We've made the choice to follow Christ. What are we going to do about it?
Right.
Are we going to make the changes and
Solid point.
live like it?
Right.
Or are we just going to sit on the sideline and play on our phone?
Yeah. Nobody can make you care.
Yeah.
Whether it's in your own faith or in law enforcement. Like, that's the rookies. I can teach you a lot of things, share my experiences, show you what I've learned, and I can't make you care or give a crap about your career. I can't make you care about what I'm saying. Are you the person in church that's playing on their phone?
Yeah.
Or do you care enough to pay attention, maybe learn something?
Yeah.
What I was going to say is we could bridge that into the second answer too, with that marriage.
Yeah.
You want a good, strong marriage. You need to have,
100%.
you have a good foundation. That makes all the difference in the world when you're
Absolutely.
when you're going through your lows, your valleys, and your darker times, your storms, however you want to look at it. If you don't have that person next to you that's weathering that storm with you,
Absolutely.
and y'all are not supporting each other through it, man, that makes all the difference in the world.
Well, that goes along again with the sermon this past week at Church of the Grove, where we're not supposed to be alone. I mean, God created Eve because man should not be alone. And so that's why when we sit here, we say the greatest thing we ever did was get married. And what's sad is that I hear a lot of people say, no, you know?
I would say the majority of people that you meet kind of hate their marriage a little bit.
Or never want to get married.
Right.
Something that drove my wife crazy was just seeing, like, you see somebody about to get married or whatever, and they're like, don't do it, or whatever, you know. She's like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
You know, and it still drives her crazy to hear. Like, if you see somebody, you know, wife to be or whatever, they're going out celebrating, and then everybody's yelling at them, don't do it.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, yeah, do it.
Well, you know, but what's cool about me is at weddings. I heard somebody told me this a long time ago. They said I was in a ton of weddings and went to a lot of weddings early, and you know, the bride comes in, everybody turns around and they look at the bride, and he told me this was a long time ago, and ever since then I've always done this. He goes, next wedding you go to, I know everybody wants to see the bride, but turn around and watch the guy, like watch his face. And man, dude, like it's pretty awesome to see that guy's face, because, I mean, the first time he sees that bride for the first time and she's all like just perfect, you know, it's just like, man, you can see the emotion. Even like the toughest guy, you know, you're still going to see this like.
At my wedding, at the reception, my captain comes up to me and he goes, you lost me $20, boy. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we had bets on whether you're going to cry or not. You lost me $20. Like, Cap.
He's like, so Monday you owe me $20.
You did cry or you didn't cry?
I said I nodded and I didn't admit it out loud so everybody heard.
Oh, no. So speaking to the mic,
We're on camera here, Clint.
Just so that there's no confusion, I did cry.
I could say that
Only
too.
a little.
I could say it too, but everybody would.
Stubbed my
like,
toe on the way up there,
That's
bro.
true.
Golly. No, I did, man. I can still remember it though. That's a pretty incredible feeling.
Oh yeah,
Seeing her, you know.
never forget that. Oh, cool. Y'all got anything else for him?
Thank you.
That was pretty good, man.
Hey, you know what? I'd
Thanks
like
for
to say
joining
thank you to Jacob too, man. We giving him grief for, you know, but we wouldn't have any of this together if it wasn't for Jacob. He's like herding cats. Me and Scott over here just picking on each other like little kids.
I tell Megan all the time. I give Jacob a lot of crap, but I tell Megan all the time, I'm like, man, I'm glad he shows up. I don't care if he's late or not, because if he doesn't show up, we ain't gonna get to do it. Because I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Jacob's over there. In fact, tonight we had a problem with the headset, and Jacob literally is sitting there with no headset on. We can barely hear him. He can barely hear. Well, he can hear us, but
You can definitely hear Scotty.
okay.
and there's 10,000 buttons over there on that thing that he knows how to operate.
He's trying to fix it all up and everything. So
I just know one button, stop, or two actually, stop and record.
That's all you need, I guess. That's two more than me. So.
but yeah, so I wanted do y'all have I wanted to make sure y'all have any prayer requests? I do.
You asked that earlier, and I was like, I need to think about this, and then here I am.
Yeah.
Didn't think about it.
Well, my biggest thing is like, so you know when you are at small groups, man, you sit down, you like catch everybody off guard. You're like, do you have prayer requests? Like now, I told Megan, I was like, I gotta prep myself before we get there because a lot of times I'll say, oh, I can't think of anything, and then you'll walk out and you'll say, dang it, I do have some prayer requests.
like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
But you know, put you on the spot. It's like,
no, I think I'm good. But
Well, you mentioned. Sorry, are you gonna go ahead, Clint? Scotty, you mentioned Church at the Grove a couple times just now, and I know we've mentioned Church at the Grove a lot on several of the episodes. Really, the biggest one that's been on my mind and heart lately, prayer request, has been Church at the Grove.
Yeah.
They're growing, and we have a lot of we've for a while now, we've had a lot of community groups that have started to form and grow and kind of take off. And certain, age groups they've had to like split into multiple groups, because of just growth, which is great. I feel like this past, I don't know, like month or really kind of since the new year, maybe even a little bit before that, I just feel like there's been a lot of attacks, just from Satan on certain groups. It's kind of happened with the two groups that Scotty and I help lead, but it's also there's been some other mention of some other groups as well, and so
Absolutely.
I think, like I said, that's just kind of been the biggest one on my heart lately.
Yeah, and we
So-
definitely have several people in our group that need prayer, and I don't want to say any names, but we have like somebody in our group, man. His family's hurting. He's hurting because he lost his job, and then he got another one, and then lost that one, and he's got 4 kids at home, and I cannot, I've been in a similar situation, but not with 4 kids, and I'm just, my heart hurts for him. And, it's like one of those things. I wish I could write a check, But he and I were talking the other day. He says the best thing. I tell you what, I'd rather have prayer than money. And I was just like, dang, that's just awesome.
Amen.
And I understand. And so that's one for me. And then we got
You buddy.
my buddy King, man. He's eating up with cancer and he's fighting it. He's a fighter anyway. Gosh, but I struggle with that because that guy. I'm the fireman I am a lot because of him, and there's the person I am. He taught me how to stand up for myself a little bit more, because I want to be so nice and treat everybody. I want to do the best I can for everybody and love everybody I can. But he helped show me, and you can't. They're going to take advantage of you and stuff like that. And when you get taken advantage of, now your kids, your family, all that gets taken advantage of. And he just taught me certain things like that in general. And it's just a shame that he's going through this. And I just pray for him and his wife and his kids. I have some other friends that are going through cancer as well. I have friends that are having infertility, problems and issues. And so, I have several unspokens, but they're not unspokens. So just, it's just pray for that kind of thing. And that's when at night, when I can't, I have a list of everybody that I pray for. And, I didn't even know one of my friends was having a problem with something. And I found out and I said, look, tell me, please. I put your name in my phone. I will pray for you. And it's just when I can't remember, or I know there's more people. I look at the list and I said, I know there's more people that need prayer. And so then I'm going to God. I'm like, look, I know there's somebody who's dealing with mental problems right now or stressed or anxiety. I said, pray for them, give them, peace. And I know this person is going through this. I know there's got to be somebody else going through this. And it's just sad because you want to pray for everybody. Like there's so many people that just don't want. My dad didn't want to tell anybody he was going through cancer. And me and him got in this big fight. It wasn't a big, it was a fight. And I said, I'm going to tell you something, Dad. You can get mad all you want. But I was like, but the greatest thing I could give you and you can have right now is prayer. And if I don't tell anybody, then they don't know to pray for you. Mm-hmm. I said, so you can suck it up and not talk to me for however long you want. You can be stubborn as you want. But I said, but I'm going to make sure everybody I know is praying for you. And 3 times it's worked. He's cancer free right now. He's in remission, but not to say that it might take him another time, but man, 3 times he's extended his life. And I believe in the power of prayer.
Absolutely, I do too.
I believe it.
Stuff with our son. I know I've talked about that before, but
Yeah.
I think once you experience something like that and hey, man, that's the power of prayer, then you can really appreciate, trying to pray for somebody because you care and you want to see a good outcome for them.
I'll tell you a quick story about prayer if we have time.
Of course.
Back to when my mom died, I was a senior in high school, and like I told you, I had no money.
I didn't know you did that though. I just found that out about you. I didn't know that you had to do that and stuff.
Yeah, at this point, if I found a quarter in my Jeep seat, I would have put it in the gas tank. I had no money. And I'd heard all these stories in church and growing up about, oh, we magically found $150 in an envelope that was the exact amount that this bill was. And I'm thinking like, yeah. I mean, I believe it. I believe in God. I believe that can happen. But I've never seen anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm down because my mom's died. Mm-hmm. I'm in a depression after that, of course. Still going to school, still working, still trying to keep my grades up and play sports. But I was so down. I was a little angry with God. So I was praying. I was driving to school below empty, like 6 miles away. And I'm like, there is no way I will make it to school. And I'm just going to have to walk the rest of the way. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm praying the whole way. I'm like, God, it'll be a miracle if I just get to school. Just get me to the school. I'll sleep in my Jeep the rest of the week. Like, I'm not going to go anywhere. I can't go anywhere. I don't even have a quarter to put in my tank. So make it all the way to school. And I said, you know what, God? I'm going to make you prove it. And I did, honestly. I challenged God, and I was like, I could ask any of my friends, any teacher. I could ask anybody in this school for $10 to go to the gas station and get some gas. And I'd have $500 by the end of the day with as many people as loved me and knew me in that school and would take care of me no matter what. But I told God, I was like, I'm not asking a soul. I was like, I'm going to sleep in this Jeep in this parking lot until you prove it. Prove that you're up there listening to me. And, I'm not proud of that today, saying that, to God the way I did, but I'm walking to and from class. I'm looking on the floor. I'm like, I know I'm going to find a $5 bill crumpled up somewhere or something. Never found anything all day long. So that evening, I was a senior, and we were raising money for our senior trip. So we're selling water bottles to the parents picking up their kids from school. And Miss Wakefield, Justin Wakefield's mom, pulls up, and she buys a drink, and then she hands me a $20 bill, and she says, I was praying for you today, and God told me that you needed some gas money. What? And I started crying instantly.
Oh, my gosh.
Because, if I had found $5 laying on the floor, that's that happens.
Coincidence.
That's a coincidence. I would have said, God provided. But how often does someone pull up and give you $20 for the exact thing that you asked for? And she said she was praying, and God said, you needed some gas money. And that's when I was like, boom, he's real. It hit me like a ton of bricks for the first time. And I was saved before that, but that was the first time that a prayer at my darkest, deepest, darkest moments was answered instantly. And I knew. I like looked up at the clouds, and I'm like, you're actually there. Like,
Right.
I am a believer now for sure.
And you said that you weren't proud of it now, looking back on challenging God. I remember having a conversation with my nana, and she was telling me talking about questioning God, like why does certain things happen and stuff. And she said something that I remember to this day, and I think that she's right. I think that sometimes He wants us to.
Yeah,
You're seeking Him out
I
at that
said,
point.
prove it, please.
So-
I'm hurting right now.
You gave Him an opportunity to prove something to you, and He proved it to you.
We literally-
and now you're telling other people it could potentially make a difference in someone else's life.
Sure.
So I've had the same thing. I had people will say you shouldn't question God or you shouldn't ask God why and all this stuff. And I was talking to somebody who's going through a hard time right now, and I said, I don't believe that, because God wants to see our emotions. He wants us to come to Him. If we're not asking Him if we're not showing Him our emotions, then we're not showing Him that we actually care about the situation we are in with God. And a perfect example, Bible says be Christ-like, right? So what was Jesus doing on the mountain the day before He got crucified? He was praying to God so hard that he was bleeding, asking God, is there another way? Why does this have to happen? Is there another way? And that's the Son of God. So like for somebody to say, oh, you shouldn't ask God why, you should just take it for this. It's like, no, He's our Father. Like if I did something to my daughters and they legitimately came to me, not in a sarcastic way, saying, why do I have, but if they came to me and say, Dad, why did this happen? Like, why did you? I wouldn't take that offense. I wouldn't be offended by that.
Right.
I'd be thankful because I get to sit down and explain to them why this is happening. So I don't think that when people say that, it kind of bothers me because it's like, what kind of relationship do you have with God? Because if you can't sit down and talk to God or talk, like if I can't go and talk to my parents with whatever emotion that I'm feeling at the time, whether it's anger, if I'm angry, even if you're angry at God, like he understands that you're incarnate, like you're carnate. Like I think that he wants you to, in a certain way, wants you to come to him with those emotions and feelings.
That's a relationship.
Yeah,
there.
because then he knows your heart because you are showing him, hey, I need to know. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think it's great to do because I think that God understands our heart. And if he got mad about that, I don't think that would mean that he doesn't understand our heart.
Oh yeah.
Which wouldn't make him God.
I gave him no choice, if I'm being honest, because I mean that was a turning point in my life. Because if something like that hadn't happened that day, who knows what I would believe today? Who knows where I'd be today? Because my whole life, growing up in church, both my amazing parents teaching me, raising me, my dad showing me what it's like to be a hard worker, and what laziness is not tolerated. You know what I mean? That what would I have turned into had God not shown me that day that he cared enough
He can use
to take care of me? You know, it's like, is he really there for me? Is he really going to take care? You know, he takes care of other people, I hear, but obviously not me.
Well,
you know, I would I be a believer today? I don't know.
Obviously, he didn't mind that you questioned it because
Exactly.
he actually let it happen.
He answered the
You see
prayer.
what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this God is this person these people say he is, when they say don't question him or ask him or give him an ultimatum or everything, then why does he answer those things then? Because he wants you to know that he's real and
Right.
he wants you to come to him.
Right. And we were, it's so funny how poor we were. I'm just thinking back of the same thing. Like, we would park because we didn't have $3.50 to pay for parking at Gwinnett Medical. We would park at the Chick-fil-A outside Gwinnett, and now it's Northside Gwinnett, but
Yeah.
and we'd have to walk over to visit my mom in the hospital all the time. That's why I'm talking like $3. We didn't have any money. So that's the level of provision I was looking for. It wasn't like I had $1,000 stashed away somewhere and I needed $20 from God all of a sudden. It was like I'm sleeping right here in this truck again until you figure it out, God. You know?
Wow. And look what he's done.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
It turns
Way
out he had it
beyond.
figured out the whole time.
Way
Gosh,
beyond anything I could have dreamed.
It's just gives me cold chills. It's awesome.
And even looking back, it's hard to say, but my mom passing away has had a positive impact on my life overall after going through the stages of grief and acceptance and everything. I mean, I had to grow up immediately. I was a child at 17, and instantly it was like, hey, you're on your own. You better figure it out quick because the world doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know?
No, they don't. I tell my baseball players all the time, they don't care.
Right.
And if your mom is embedded in my mind the way she is, I can't imagine what she's left you. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's old. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Like,
Yep.
You're always going to have that. And the person you are is because of who she was.
Oh, for sure. No doubt.
Absolutely. It's awesome. Well, so does anybody have prayer requests?
They do work. I mean, you know.
We named a few, but then
Well,
but
if
yeah.
anybody, and what I'm getting to is if anybody is listening to this at any time, you know, I do want to open it up at the end if we can, or sometime during the podcast, that if you have prayer requests, you know, anybody, our guests or anybody, let us know. And if you're listening, email us, or you can instant message, go on the Facebook page, message us, do whatever, because we do really want to know your prayer requests so we can pray for them personally. They're not going to go on deaf ears. We had a podcast about prayer, and we all strive to make sure that we pray for somebody who needs prayer. Like it's very important to us. And so if you feel that way, or if you're convicted or just hurting, or if something's going on, let us pray for you and spread that prayer out, because there's power in it, and we want that for you. So don't be, just, and you don't even have to tell us what it is. Just say, I have an unspoken. If that's all you want, it's fine. God knows what it is. We don't need to know what it is. So, but we'd love to pray for you. Is there anything else y'all got?
I don't think so. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Man,
Thank you for your
honored.
time, man. We really appreciate
No,
it.
I've been trying to get you on for a while, but it's just things about
Training classes and everything else.
and then we can't do it, or something like that. It's hard. We understand. We all got kids and professions and lives and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. So, I'm glad that we were able to make it happen.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for everything you do. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Y'all good? Jacob, you good?
Yeah.
You know I'm good.
Like Scotty said, you can email us srespondcommunity@gmail.com. And then the Facebook page is just Faithful Responders. There's a button you can click to send us an instant message, and we'll, like you said, we're gonna keep an eye out for those requests so that we can pray for you guys, and so.
Maybe topics too, if there's something that you guys
Yeah,
want,
absolutely.
or
If
something
there's
weighing
some-
on you, or
yeah.
something that you want to hear us talk about,
Absolutely.
or something. I've heard a lot of people. I've heard several people, and see if y'all have had the same suggestion, is to have the wives come on.
Oh yeah,
We've definitely
multiple
had that.
times.
I told my wife she's not allowed to come on.
Oh,
Well, she punched me in the gut, so she's coming on.
so anything
Yeah.
something that you might want to hear.
Yeah, hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. So,
All right, y'all. Well, let's get out of here.
Peace. Come on, man.
Oh, come on, man. How you gonna dog me like that?
Oh, I look forward to it. You're stalling. Stay it.
Y'all stay safe out there. Peace.